Welcome to Unlock Financial Independence, the #1 financial independence podcast for physical therapists. I am your host, Matt McClanahan. Welcome back, my financially savvy physios. I am Matt, host of the Unlock FI Rehab podcast, where I help physical therapists just like you unlock your path to financial freedom while working as a physical therapist. If you're new to the channel, welcome. And if you find the show valuable, I would love it if you subscribed, left me a review on Apple Podcasts, and shared it to your Instagram stories. I would appreciate that so much. And for new and old listeners alike, go ahead and subscribe to the once per month newsletter, which will be linked in the show notes for monthly tips on things like travel hacking, the state of student loans, listener wins, and more. On today's show, we're talking about The Simple Path to Wealth. This is a book by J.L. Collins, but I wanted to give you guys an idea of what it's about. But before we jump into that, I do have a special announcement at the end of the podcast. So make sure you stick around to the end of this episode so you do not miss it. All right. So The Simple Path to Wealth by J.L. Collins is a comprehensive guide that really provides a roadmap to financial independence through a very clear, uncomplicated approach to managing money. And in fact, if I remember correctly, he wrote the book for his daughter so she would be able to read this and act on the information. He is a self-proclaimed finance nerd, but his daughter is not. And so he wanted to keep the concepts very simple and enough to understand without getting into the weeds too much. That's why I really think that this book is great for all of you PTs out there who might not care about diving in depth on certain finance topics. You don't have any time to read into finance topics. You're too busy caring for patients, spending time with your family, and trying to even keep up with the research, right? But it just want to get you a game plan in place with this book and know the whys behind the financial topics that he mentions. So he starts by really emphasizing the importance of saving and living below one's means, advocating for the mindset of spending consciously and saving diligently. This is in line with what I mentioned in the last podcast about establishing your values and goals, right? While I do think we should be living below our means and saving diligently, I think there is nuance in this. So, for example, if you live below your means in your budget category of, say, eating out, right? You don't really eat out that much, but you're spending lavishly on your budget for trips and vacations, and you're still saving diligently. That is a good balance of what I would call living below your means and saving diligently, right? Because the whole point of financial independence isn't just to reach it as quick as possible, but to enjoy your life along the way, save up enough money that you don't feel overburdened by the budget in the process, right? So for me, I don't think he's advocating to live this like terrible life for 30 years just to quote retire early, right? There is some nuance in that, which has a lot of carryover with us as physical therapists, right? Should I do this exercise? Well, yes and, right? So moving on, the book strongly promotes investing in low-cost index funds, which I've mentioned before, particularly the Vanguard Total Stock Market Index Fund. Also, the ticker symbol is VTSAX, as the cornerstone of a solid investment strategy. Vanguard is an investing platform, just like Fidelity, just like Charles Schwab, but the fundamental core concept here is investing in index funds because of their low expense ratios. So Collins explains the power of index funds. He highlights how they're very diverse, they have low fees and historical performance in the stock market, right? He suggests that consistently investing in those funds, ideally through tax advantage accounts like your 401k, your IRAs, right? This allows individuals to benefit from market growth over the long term. He also addresses the psychological aspects of money management, discussing the emotional traps that often hinder financial progress, such as our fears and impatience during market fluctuations. He encourages readers to understand their relationship with money, cultivate patience, and stay the course with their investment plan to achieve financial security. I think this is a huge point, actually, and one that doesn't get talked about enough. Just like PTs have moved away from the purely biomedical model towards the biopsychosocial model, so too is the financial world moving away from only discussing spreadsheets and what is optimal as being the best path. And it's starting to look at what the human in front of them thinks about their financial scenario in order to make the best decision for them. Because there are many paths that lead to Rome. I know that's not exactly the quote, but you get what I'm saying, right? In a spreadsheet, we can figure out what is the most optimal. But then when you zoom out and you apply that to an individual, for one person, they might be able to grind it out, or that'll work for them. But the other, they're not going to be able to make that work at all. So it's important to know the different options that you have, but know how that psychologically might affect the individual too. So the concept also touches on the concept, or the book also touches on the concept of FU money, which refers to having enough financial resources to have freedom and control over life's choices without being dependent on a job or external factors, right? So he believes that this level of financial independence is achievable by following the principles outlined in his book. And I think a big issue with PT right now, especially among us millennials, is this feeling of being trapped at a PT mill and not having the ability to wait for a job in a setting or a scenario that is more ideal for you. We don't feel like we will ever be able to retire because of the amount of student loan debt we have on top of your typically low salary outside of settings like travel and home health PT, right? So one thing that he is advocating for is to develop this FU money, build up this amount of money where you can say, you know what, this job sucks and I'm going to quit and I'm just going to draw down from my FU money until that dream job comes along, right? Because what would be better than having enough money to not have to go to work, finding your dream job, and then going into work every day, actually loving it and making the same amount that you were at the job you hated, right? That's the dream, right? Making money at a place you enjoy working and going into every single day, and also continuing to get ahead in life, right? So overall, the Simple Path to Wealth provides not only practical advice on investment strategies, but also a mindset shift towards understanding money, embracing simplicity, and staying focused on long-term financial gains to attain true wealth and freedom. So there are topics in this book, such as predicting the market and financial advisors, that I am going to dive deeper into in future podcasts or Instagram reels. So be sure to subscribe to the podcast and follow me on Instagram at UnlockFI Rehab. So if you ever wondered, should I hire a financial advisor, or how can I, if you've seen people on Instagram telling you that you can make a lot of money in the stock market by doing shorts and betting on it and doing all these different crazy scenarios that call for a lot of time and focus, and that they can make you more, that might be wrong. So stick around for future podcast episodes to learn more about that. And that leads me actually to my final point. I am doing a book giveaway. I'm giving away this book. So I want to give away this book at sometime in the middle of the month or so, but I will be announcing it the day after that this podcast is released to my Instagram. If you share this podcast from Spotify or Apple Podcasts to your Instagram story and tag me at UnlockFI Rehab, I will give you a bonus entry into the contest to win, on top of the 3 other ways that you can win this book. On the Instagram post, when I post it the day after this comes out, there's going to be 3 ways that you can win. Just by listening to this podcast, sharing it to your story, and tagging me, you can have 4 chances to win this book giveaway. So, I hope you enjoyed the synopsis. I hope you really want to read this book. I hope you enter into the book giveaway, because I love this book and I want more people to read it. And I think it will provide all the PTs that listen to this podcast a very good roadmap to living a great life now, working in the setting that you want, and being happy with life along the way. So don't forget to subscribe to the monthly Financially Savvy Physio newsletter, where I'll send out those travel rewards, hacks, and financial information specific to PTs like you. Follow me on Instagram and YouTube at UnlockFI Rehab on all platforms. Until next time, y'all, peace.